On the day of my 16th birthday, my brother sent 2 fragrant pendants back from Yangzhou. As the brocade box was opened, one was gilded gold, the other was plain silver. Both were carved with begonia flowers. A rich fragrance wafted out. My fingertips paused half a month ago. My brother wrote to ask what kind of scent Qin Zhaoyu and I liked. I wrote green bamboo. He wrote begonia. The servant delivering the gift smiled and said, "The eldest young master says, one for each of the 2 young ladies." Before I could reach out, Qin Zhaoyu had already picked up the gilded pendant and tied it to her waist. The red tassels rested against her pomegranated skirt. Everyone in the hall praised how beautiful it looked. Pei Yanqi leaned against the table and smiled. "Begonia fragrance is flamboyant. It suits your vibrant personality perfectly." Qin Zhaoyu's smile stiffened. She raised her hand to untie the pendant. "You think I'm vulgar?" He blushed and turned away. Pei Yanqi immediately stopped her, then took the plain silver pendant from the brocade box and placed it in her palm. "I misspoke. Take both, don't be angry." He personally tied both pendants side by side for her. Only then did Qin Zhaoyu smile. The brocade box still lay before me. I looked at the green satin at the bottom of the box and asked the servant, "Did my brother not send a green bamboo pendant?" The servant looked troubled. Pei Yanqi turned his head back. "It's just 2 pendants. Must you be so petty?" I looked at him. "But today is my birthday." The room fell silent. Qin Zhaoyu touched the pendants at her waist and whispered, "Then I will give one back to you." Just as she raised her hand, Pei Yanqi held her back. "You know well that Zhaoyu is living under someone else's roof? Yet you still force her in front of everyone." He frowned, as if I were the one in the wrong. "You will marry me in the future. She will be your cousin too. You shouldn't always compete with her over everything." Mother walked in, glanced only once at the empty brocade box. "Ji Wei, you already have everything. Why not just let her have this one?" The 2 pendants clinked lightly against Qin Zhaoyu's waist. With a crisp ding, I withdrew my hand, closed the brocade box. "Fine. I won't fight for it anymore." Pei Yance's brow relaxed, and he reached out to pat the top of my head. "That's more sensible." 3 months later, a fire broke out in the fragrance room at the palace banquet. Thick smoke billowed out of the window frames. Qin Zhaoyu cried out Pei Yance's name from within the flames. He stood beside me, actually still waiting for my nod. I looked at him, suddenly remembering those 2 begonia pendants, and pushed him toward the fire. "You? Stunned? What are you doing?" "Go save her, hurry." Only later did I understand. That fire 3 months later was not the first time I had yielded Pei Yanqi to Qin Zhaoyu. Ever since the Shangxi festival after my birthday,
He had already, in front of all the nobles in the capital,
given my status to her. That day, along the winding water banks, sat noble lords and highborn ladies. It was rumored that Prince Huai, long ill and now returned to the capital, would choose a consort at the banquet. Everyone was bedecked in pearls and jade, dressed in shimmering silks and scents. Yet Qin Zhaoyu wore only a plain white dress, with the gilded begonia pendant my brother's scent hanging at her waist. The red tassels swayed with her steps, making her more conspicuous than all the finery in the garden. A maid brought over fragrance scrolls, inviting everyone to gift them to their heart's desire. Pei Yanqi only cared about chasing after Qin Zhaoyu, not even turning his head once. I gripped my soaked sleeves, saying nothing. Just as Pei Yanqi received 2 scrolls, Qin Zhaoyu snatched one away. "This one counts as yours too." It was clearly done out of respect for the Jinggan Marquis mansion. Pei Yanqi raised his hand to take it back, but she dodged around the table. The 2 chased and darted, knocking over the teacup in front of me. The tea spilled along the edge of the table, soaking my sleeves. On my birthday, he had just taught me not to fight him over everything. The music suddenly stopped. Lady Su, who served the empress, walked to the front of the table, her gaze lingering between Qin Zhaoyu and me. The 2 young ladies of the Shen family are both so outstanding. I wonder if they are already betrothed. I stood up about to answer, but Pei Yanqi spoke first. "Lady Su, the one wearing the begonia pendant, is the soon-to-be wife of my Jinggan Marquis mansion?" The entire table went abruptly silent. Qin Zhaoyu stood beside him, the pendants at her waist clinking lightly, producing a crisp sound. I looked at Pei Yanqi. He saw me too, but he did not correct himself. He only smiled and added, "As for the second Miss Shen, she looks dignified, but her mind is too calculating. Just recently, she even made a fuss over a pendant with her cousin. I fear she wouldn't be able to handle the rules of the prince's mansion." Whispers rose up all around. Qin Zhaoyu suddenly grabbed my hand, her nails digging deep into my palm. She leaned close to my ear, her voice audible only to me. "Prince Huai has a cold and cruel temperament. I cannot marry him. Since your reputation is ruined, there's still brother Yanxi to marry you. Help me this once. As soon as she finished speaking, she untied the gilded pendant and forcibly tied it to my waist. Then, with reddened eyes, she stepped back half a pace. Huai, are you still angry about your birthday gift? Fine, I will return the scented tablet to you. Stop using my engagement as an excuse to throw a tantrum. Everyone's gaze turned to me in unison. The heavy scent of begonia hit me like a wave. I raised my hand to untie it, but Qin Jiaoyu pressed down on my wrist. Just then, from outside the banquet, a cold, clear voice spoke up. From her sleeves to her sachet, second Miss Shen smells only of cool green bamboo. If she truly liked begonias, why is it that only today? Has the scent of begonia appeared on her for the first time? The voice came from outside the seating area. Everyone looked toward the sound. A young gentleman, dressed in a worn moon-white robe, stood beneath a willow tree. His clothes were washed until they had faded slightly, with only a single wooden tablet hanging at his waist. He stood out sharply against the crowd, dressed in fine silk and brocade. I recognized him. Earlier, when the scent notes were being delivered, he had delivered one on behalf of a friend to Qin Jiaoyu's table. Qin Jiaoyu had only glanced at his attire, then used 2 fingers to pick up the note, tossing it casually under a flower branch. I do not accept things from unknown origins. The man had not argued, simply bending down to pick up the note, and quietly withdrawing. Yet now he walked through the crowd's stares, stopping before Ansu. Qin Jiaoyu's grip on my hand tightened abruptly. The gentleman in moonwhite stopped 3 steps away and bowed to Ansu. Second Miss Shen is wearing bamboo-patterned brocade today, with green leaves embroidered on the corner of her handkerchief. And the sachet at her waist is also filled with bamboo core. As he spoke, his eyes fell on my sleeve, dampened by tea. Even though her sleeve is soaked, it still gives off a bitter, refreshing bamboo scent, with no trace of begonia at all. Several noblewomen nearby subconsciously leaned in. It really is the scent of green bamboo. She doesn't even have any lingering incense on her. Qin Jiaoyu's expression shifted, and she immediately explained. Huai changed her sachet today, which doesn't prove she didn't like begonias before. It can be proven. The gentleman in moonwhite pointed to her, the red silk knot left on her waist. When a scented tablet is worn for too long, the tassels wear down the fabric. There's already a red mark on the side of Miss Chin's skirt, which shows you have been wearing this item all along. He looked again at the tablet on my waist, the one that had just been forcibly tied on. Second Miss Shen's ribbons are neat, and the silk knot is meticulously tied. As to who is actually snatching whose property, it is clear at a glance. The murmurs among the guests changed. The disdain that had been directed at me now shifted toward Qin Jiaoyu.
He hurriedly let go of my hand.
But there were already clear nail marks on my wrist. Ansu watched all of this, her smile fading slightly. Miss Qin, you just said you were the future wife of the Jinggan Marquis residence. Is that true? Qin Jiaoyu's lips trembled, and she looked subconsciously at Pei Yanqi. Pei Yance's face stiffened. He finally remembered to correct her. Aunt, there is a misunderstanding. The one engaged to me is Huai. Aunt's gaze turned cold. So the heir knows who his own fiancé is. Muffled laughter broke out all around. Pei Yanqi could not save face, turning to glare at the gentleman in moonwhite. This is a private family matter. What business is it of yours? The man's expression remained unchanged. If a man doesn't even know what his fiancé likes to smell, what right does he have to judge others as narrow-minded in public? Pei Yanqi was rendered speechless. A gust of wind blew past, and the begonia tablet swayed at my waist. I reached up and unfastened it, placing it back on the table in front of Qin Jiaoyu. Cousin's belongings? I do not compete for them. Qin Jiaoyu's eyes reddened. Huai, I didn't do it on purpose. Ansu, however, gave her no further chance to defend herself, ordering her servants to collect the scent notes, and announcing that the banquet was ending early. The guests began to leave in groups. As they passed us, they all deliberately slowed their pace. Qin Jiaoyu, who had never endured such gazes, lifted her skirt and rushed out of the pavilion. Outside, a drizzle had begun to fall. Pei Yanqi grabbed an umbrella and shoved it into my hand. You stay here, and wait for me. I'm going to explain everything to Jiaoyu. With that, he chased after her into the rain, without even checking if I had acknowledged him. I stood under the veranda, clutching the closed umbrella. The rain was blown in by the wind, dampening the tips of my shoes. A moment later, A green bamboo umbrella opened above my head. The gentleman in moonwhite stood beside me, tilting the majority of the umbrella toward me. He took a bamboo-inlaid piece from his sleeve. A fresh leaf was carved into the slender bamboo sliver. The scent was faint and clean. Miss Shen. My name is Ji Lincoln. He handed the scent note to me. The note from earlier was given to me by a friend. This one is actually mine. I did not take it immediately. Why are you helping me? Ji Lincoln watched the two figures fading into the rain, his tone calm. I just feel that a person's preferences shouldn't be decided for them by others. My fingertips trembled slightly. I took the note from him. This was the first time someone had not urged me to yield, and the first time someone had actually seen what I truly liked. When I returned to the manor, the note was still clutched in my palm. I had just stepped into the main hall when I saw my brother, Shen Xingjian, with a grim face, standing before the hall steps. Qin Jiaoyu, wrapped in a wet outer robe, was sobbing in mother's arms. My brother stared at the bamboo note in my hand and barked sternly. Kneel. Brother Shen Xingjian stood at the entrance of the main hall. The sound of the voice drowned out the rain under the eaves. I had not yet closed my umbrella. Qin Jiaoyu was already curled up in her mother's arms, wrapped in a thick blanket. Water dripped from the tips of her hair. Her cheeks were flushed a deep red from the fever. Yet, the gilded begonia-scented sachet remained tied around her waist. Jiaoyu caught a fever after getting caught in the rain. My brother stared at me. Is this how you take care of her? I gripped the green bamboo slip in my palm tightly. She ran out on her own. Pei Yanqi followed her. How dare you still make excuses? My brother caught sight of the bamboo slip. He reached out and snatched it away. For the sake of a man of unknown origin, you actually humiliated your own cousin in public. He threw the bamboo slip onto the ground. It landed right in a puddle outside the door. I stooped down to pick it up. My brother barked again. Kneel properly. Mother wiped the damp hair from Qin Jiaoyu's face, looking at me with reddened eyes. Jiaoyu is living under someone else's roof. She is naturally sensitive. Today you knew full well he feared being selected by Prince Huai. Why did you let an outsider expose him, letting him suffer the ridicule of the entire banquet? I raised my wrist. The nail marks Qin Jiaoyu had left were already turning purple. Mother. This was unintentional on my part. Mother's gaze lingered on the bruises for a fleeting moment. Qin Jiaoyu suddenly began to cough. Mother immediately turned to soothe her, leaving behind only one sentence. What you did was inappropriate. You should have advised her in private. Why humiliate her in public? My brother also saw my wrist, but only asked in a low, cold voice, if you've caused enough trouble, settle down. Don't embarrass the Shen family in this mansion. I suddenly had nothing left to say. On one side of the main hall sat the sandalwood zither my father had gifted me. Tied to the tail of the zither was the red tassel Qin Jiaoyu habitually used, outside the courtyard gate. The white horse that originally belonged to me had just been led back to the stables. His name was also embroidered on the saddle. They were never unaware. It was just that every single time, the one who had to lower their head in the end was always me. Mother tucked the blanket around Qin Jiaoyu, her tone softening. He lost his parents. He only has us. Can't you just yield to him? Can you not? I watched the people bustling around him in the hall, and slowly knelt straight. Very well. My brother said coldly, go and kneel in the courtyard. Only when Jiaoyu's fever breaks, will you be allowed to rise? The rainwater soon soaked through my clothes. The blue bricks under my knees were cold and hard. I knelt from the afternoon until the lamps were lit. Even my fingertips were frozen stiff. People kept coming in and out of the room to deliver medicine and add coal, yet not one of them looked toward the courtyard. When the sky had turned completely dark, a servant ran along the wall and pressed a green bamboo sachet into my hand. This was entrusted to me by the young master in moonwhite from the banquet. Inside the sachet was only a single piece of paper. Rainwater dripped along my fingertips, but the writing on the paper remained clear, protected by wax paper. The things you love should not always be taken away by others. The signature contained only 3 words. Ji Lingzhou. I clutched the sachet, for the first time not immediately thinking about who I should give it to. Just then, a loud proclamation came from outside the mansion gate. An imperial decree from the palace. The entire Shen family rushed out to welcome it. Only then did my brother order someone to hold an umbrella for me. Not because he feared I would catch a cold, but because he feared my disheveled appearance would offend the palace envoy. An invitation with gold patterns on a red background was unfurled before me. 3 days from now, the palace will host a spring banquet to welcome Prince Huai and select a consort. I looked down at the green bamboo sachet in my palm. When I looked up again, the words Prince Huai on the invitation reflected the lamplight under the eaves. 3 days later, I accompanied mother to the palace for the banquet. Before leaving, Qin Zhouyu changed her outfit 3 times in front of the mirror. She chose a crimson dress. She tied 2 begonia-scented sachets to her waist and had her maid add a pure gold hair accessory. Mother smiled and said, "This is what it looks like to attend Prince Hui's spring banquet. I just don't want to lose the dignity of the Shen family." I didn't expose her, only tucking the green bamboo sachet into my sleeve. The spring banquet was held in the imperial garden. At the announcement of an imperial attendant, the music filling the garden suddenly ceased. A pair of royal guards stepped through the floral gate, escorting a man in black robes. The man wore a jade crown, a gold belt around his waist, and the gold-woven python patterns shimmered in the sunlight as he walked. I stood rooted to the spot. That face clearly belonged to the man in the rain, the one who held the umbrella for me, Ji Lingzhou. Everyone knelt in unison. "Greetings, Your Highness Prince Huai." He passed by me, his gaze pausing on my sleeve for a fleeting moment. I subconsciously pressed down on the green bamboo sachet inside. So Ji Lingzhou was just a pseudonym. His real name was Xiao Yinghuai. Qin Zhouyu's face turned pale. At the last banquet, he had discarded the note she sent, and now she didn't even dare to raise her head. After Xiao Yinghuai took his seat, he didn't look at her once. Qin Zhouyu accidentally overturned her wine cup and excused herself to change clothes, hurrying to the back hall. Not long after, a scream tore through the music of fire. Thick smoke poured out from the window cracks of the side chamber. Workers carrying water buckets ran across the veranda. The next moment, Qin Zhouyu's cries came from within. "Help me! Brother Yanqi!" Pei Yanqi stood up abruptly. He rushed 2 steps toward the side chamber, but suddenly stopped. He turned to look at me. That look, I knew it all too well. Every time he abandoned me to comfort Qin Zhouyu in the past, he would look at me like that, waiting for me to volunteer and say that I didn't mind. Flames were already licking at the window gauze. I walked up behind him and gave him a push. "What are you waiting for?" Pei Yanqi stumbled half a step, turning back in shock. "Juwei?" I smoothed out the fabric on his shoulder that I had wrinkled with my push. "Go and save her quickly. If you carry her out in front of everyone, you will be responsible for her reputation from now on." Pei Yance's face turned white instantly. "Are you saying this out of spite?" I shook my head, no. A loud crash of collapsing wooden frames came from the room. Qin Zhouyu wailed at the top of her lungs. "Brother Yanqi." I stepped back, clearing the path to the chamber for him. "I truly hope that you are the one who saves her." Pei Yanqi looked at me intently, and finally turned and charged into the thick smoke. A moment later, he kicked the door open, carrying Qin Zhouyu. His collar was disheveled, his face covered in soot. Her arms were wrapped tightly around his neck, and Pei Yanqi did not let go either, leaving the guarding guests to watch them embrace. There was dead silence all around. I watched them, and the thread that had been taut in my chest for so many years suddenly snapped. But I felt no pain. In the distance, Xiao Yinghuai raised his wine cup, his gaze passing over the crowd and landing on me. The corners of his lips curved slightly as he whispered. He finally let it go. When we returned to the mansion, Qin Zhouyu was still wrapped in Pei Yance's cloak. The edges of the cloak were charred black by the fire, but she gripped the collar tightly. Pei Yanqi followed behind her. Half of his sleeve also burned away, white bandages wrapped around his arm by the workers. The main hall was brightly lit. My brother, Shan Xingjian, stood before the table, and mother sat in the seat of honor. In front of them lay a dusty red wooden box. Inside it was the marriage contract between me and the Jinggan Marquis mansion. Just as I crossed the threshold, mother opened the box and pushed the marriage contract toward the edge of the table. "Juwei, come here and sit." I didn't sit. Qin Zhouyu's eyes were red, shrinking into her chair. Pei Yanqi stood by her side, looking at me several times, but he never spoke. My brother clenched his fists and said with difficulty, "Today everyone in the palace saw it. Zhouyu was disheveled, carried out of the chamber by Yanqi. Her reputation is ruined." And so, his Adam's apple bobbed. He avoided my gaze. Mother hurriedly interjected. "So this marriage must be given to Zhouyu." Fearing I might refuse, she pushed the contract another inch forward. "When your aunt was alive, she often spoke of marrying into the Marquis mansion. The engagement made back then was nothing more than a joke among the elders." A joke? In the bottom right corner of the marriage contract, the red fingerprint I had pressed at age 10 still remained. At the bottom of the box, neatly stacked, were the lists of betrothal gifts sent by the Marquis mansion over the years. Not a single one was missing. Now that Qin Jiaoyu needed it, this marriage contract had suddenly become a joke. My brother softened his voice. Jiwei, just yield to her one more time. Silence fell again. The entire hall went quiet. I walked to the table, picked up the marriage contract, and Pei Yanqi finally took a step forward. It's not like that. Believe me, nothing happened between her and me. It was all a misunderstanding. Fine. I placed the marriage contract back into the box and pushed it toward Qin Jiaoyu. This marriage? I yielded. Mother was stunned. My brother was also frozen in place. Pei Yan's face, however, turned white inch by inch. What did you say? Stop joking. I looked at him. Isn't this what you all wanted me to agree to? Qin Jiaoyu stood up abruptly. She knocked over the teacup beside her. Boiling tea splashed all over the floor. The next instant, she rushed in front of me and raised her hand to slap me across the face. A crisp sound echoed through the main hall. My face tilted to one side. I tasted blood on my lips. Shen Jiwei, who are you pretending to be the victim for? Qin Jiaoyu's chest heaved violently, tears falling continuously. Being seen by everyone in the palace today. The one being gossiped about is me, not you. Do you think I even want your Pei Yanqi? I just had no other choice. Pei Yanqi frowned. Jiaoyu, enough. But she stared at me fiercely. I didn't steal him from you. Remember, you were the one who didn't want him. You were the one who gave him to me. I raised my hand to wipe the blood from my lip, and suddenly laughed. A calculation, indeed. I glanced at the two begonia sachets at her waist, then looked at Pei Yanqi standing behind her. The sachet, I yielded. The engagement, I yielded. I truly hope cousin will never regret this later. Having said that, I turned and walked out of the main hall. As I passed through the veranda, the person who had not appeared all along, my father, was standing in front of his study door. He looked at my swollen cheek, then at the red wooden box in the main hall containing the marriage contract. After a long while, he asked in a low voice, Jiwei, Prince Huai, at the banquet today. Did he choose you? I stopped in front of the study door. My father held a black calling card in his hand, pressed with the golden seal of the Prince Wei mansion. The candlelight flickered on the seal, looking far more blinding than the red wooden box in the main hall, which contained the old, discarded marriage contract. Clearly, before we had even returned to the mansion, people from the prince's mansion had already been here. Father pushed open the door to the study. Come in and speak, he said. As the door closed, the sobbing from the main hall was shut out. Father placed the name card on the desk. After Prince Huai returned to the palace, he went to see His Majesty. He requested an imperial decree to marry the second miss of the Shen family. My fingers curled slightly. Before I left the palace, the attendant by Zhao Yingwei's side had indeed blocked my path. The attendant had only asked one thing. His Highness wishes to know, is the second Miss Shen willing to accept the green bamboo incense sachet he sent? I looked at the people embracing outside the wing room. Pei Yanqi and Qin Jiaoyu, I replied. My prince, please delay the imperial decree. Allow me to handle my former engagement first. I did not expect that he truly waited. Father stared at my face. His Majesty has not officially issued the decree yet. It was Prince Huai who personally begged for it, saying he is waiting for your nod. He paused for a moment. If you marry into Prince Wei residence, how are we to explain this to the Jinggan Marquis residence? Father, did you not hear me just now? Mother and my brother have already given Pei Yanqi to cousin. Father furrowed his brows tightly. Though the engagement can be changed, the two families have been on good terms for many years. If you turn around and marry Prince Huai, outsiders will inevitably say the Shen family is clinging to power. The Marquis residents will also feel we have intentionally humiliated them. I raised my hand and touched my swollen cheek. When cousin slapped me in public, father worried about offending her. When mother forced me to give up the engagement, father worried about offending the Marquis residents. Now that Prince Huai asks to marry me, father is still only thinking of others. Father opened his mouth, but could find no words to refute. I pushed the black name card toward him. Then, father, you might as well think it over carefully. Are you more afraid of offending the Jinggan Marquis residents? Or are you more afraid of offending the future Princess Huai? The study was so quiet that only the candle wicks crackled. Father gazed at me, his expression changing little by little. In the past, as long as he sank his face, I would be the first to bow my head. But this time, I did not avoid his gaze. After a long time, he finally picked up the name card. What do you want to do? Please, father, replied to the prince's residence. I turned and pulled open the door. This marriage. I agree. When I returned to the courtyard, an official from the prince's residence was already waiting under the veranda. He presented a black sandalwood box with both hands. There were no jewels in the box, only a marriage contract and a note. If you only want to make them regret, this prince can wait. The handwriting was steady, with Zhao Yingwei private seal at the bottom. I unfolded the marriage contract and saw the groom's name was already written. Zhao Yingwei. This time, no one chose for me, and no one urged me to yield. I picked up the brush and wrote my own name. On the back of the note, I wrote back, Your Highness, you do not need to wait too long. After writing this, I looked out the window. The lights were bright in Qin Jiaoyu's room. Mother and my brother were still discussing the wedding date for her and Pei Yanqi. I took up the brush again. I want to get married on the same day as them. The official took the reply, bowed, and left the courtyard. As soon as he left, a servant from the Marquis' residence hurried and holding a brocade box. Second Miss Shen. This is a letter written by our young master himself. Qin Jiaoyu happened to be walking over from the other end of the corridor. He stared at the words to be opened by Huai on the envelope. The smile on his face vanished, bit by bit. But at this moment, Pei Yanqi did not know yet that the person he was about to marry was no longer me. In the following days, the Marquis' residence sent things over every day. The first day, a box of pearls. The second day, a bolt of cyan cloud brocade. The third day, 3 more letters were sent. Without exception, each envelope bore the 4 words, to be opened by Huai. But those items were never delivered to my courtyard. Mother stood under the corridor, pointed her hand and said, Send them to Jiaoyu's place. The servant hesitated and said, But the young master said, These are for the second Miss Shen. Mother's face darkened. Jiaoyu will soon be the young madame of the Marquis' residence. Since Jiwei has already given up the marriage, these things naturally belong to Qin Jiaoyu. The brocade boxes were carried into Qin Jiaoyu's courtyard one by one. As I passed by, I happened to see her opening one of the letters. The moment the letter paper was unfolded, her face changed. I did not see clearly what was written on it, only the signature at the bottom, Yanqi. She crumpled the paper into a ball that night. The letter, along with the pearls, was tossed onto the floor. The next day, the Marquis' residence sent another one. Qin Jiaoyu opened it as before. The more she read, the uglier her expression became. 3 days before the wedding, I went to the Jinyu Pavilion in the south of the city to pick out my dowry on father's orders. The official from the prince's residence had already booked the entire floor. The shopkeeper brought over a row of jewelry for me to choose from. I had just picked up a green jade hairpin when footsteps came from the stairs. Pei Yanqi walked up quickly. He looked as if he had been waiting for me specifically. His lapels were covered in fine wood shavings, and his right hand was wrapped in white cloth. The shopkeeper tactfully led the others away. Pei Yanqi walked up to me and took an incense tablet from his sleeve. The tablet was made of green bamboo, its edges not polished smoothly. The bamboo leaves on it were uneven in depth, and the last stroke was even carved crooked. On his thumb was a fresh wound. I made it myself. Pei Yanqi handed the incense tablet to me, his expression uncharacteristically awkward. Jiwei. I thought about it for a long time. It's just an incense tablet. I will replace it for you. I looked at the crooked bamboo leaf in his palm and did not reach out. He assumed I was still angry.
He held it out toward me again.
After we are wed, I will give you whatever you like first. I will no longer let you yield to Jiaoyu in everything. Outside the window, the peddler's call for sugar figurines suddenly echoed. Many years ago, Pei Yanqi had also climbed over the walls of the Shen residence, hiding a sugar figurine in his robes. Back then, I had been punished by my mother to copy the family precepts, and he would lie by the window to tease me, refusing to leave until I broke into a smile. I once truly believed that he was different from the rest. But now I finally understand. It wasn't that he didn't know I would feel aggrieved. It was just that no matter how many grievances I endured before, I always stayed exactly where I was. I looked away. Shizai. It is too late. Pei Yance's hand froze in midair. What did you say? The wedding date is approaching. You should be accompanying your bride, instead of coming here to give a fragrance plaque to someone else. He frowned. Jiaoyu only took your place temporarily, to preserve her reputation. Once the wedding is over and matters settle down, I will naturally compensate you. I stepped back, creating distance between us. Pei Yanqi, even now, you still think I will wait for you? His expression changed. Jiwei, you are speaking in anger again. I offered no explanation, and turned to head downstairs. That long-awaited bamboo fragrance plaque remained clutched in his palm. The sky had already darkened by the time I returned to the residence. As I passed my brother's study, I heard the muffled sound of Qin Zhaoyu sobbing inside. His heart has no place for me at all. Since Shen Jue is so reluctant to let him go, then let her enter the Marquis' residence as well. I paused outside the window. The next moment, Qin Zhaoyu said each word clearly. The position of the legal wife belongs to me. Let her become a concubine for Yanqi. As Qin Zhaoyu's words drifted out from the study, I stood outside the window, my fingertips turning cold little by little. My brother Shen Xingjian remained silent for a long while. I waited for him to rebuke Qin Zhaoyu, waited for him to say that I was his own flesh and blood. But only a sigh echoed in the study. Zhaoyu, marry into the Marquis' residence with peace of mind first. My brother lowered his voice. As for Jue, if she still cannot let go of Yanqi, we shall find a way later. Qin Zhaoyu stopped crying. Brother, you truly cherish me the most. A teacup was pushed toward her, and the soft sound of porcelain hitting the table completely crushed the last bit of hope in my heart. So it wasn't that he hadn't heard. It was just that he felt. Trading my life to give Qin Zhaoyu peace of mind was a price worth paying. I turned and walked away. When passing the backyard, I saw Qin Zhaoyu's personal maid hiding by the stable, slipping a money bag to a stable hand. The eldest young master is participating in the Imperial Equestrian Archery tomorrow. Mix this medicine into the horse feed as usual. The mistress said, as long as the eldest young master wins the top prize.
He can request a favor from His Majesty.
The servant weighed the money bag. The dosage is too strong. The horse might go berserk. The maid said coldly, if you wanted to run fast, how can there be no risk? After the two left, a pharmacy receipt fell into the mud. I bent down to pick it up. On it was the name of a potent stimulant. The signature was the private seal commonly used in Qin Zhaoyu's courtyard. Before dawn the next day, I placed the receipt and a short note inside the bamboo fragrance sachet and handed it to the guard from Prince Huai residence waiting at the back door. The note contained only one sentence. Please, Your Highness, have the Imperial Horsekeeper investigate this matter, and do not cover for the Shen family any longer. The Imperial Equestrian Archery competition was set in the West Yard. My brother, dressed in his riding gear, stood in the arena. Qin Zhaoyu personally tightened his bracers for him. Brother, as long as you win the top prize, my marriage will be secure. My brother patted her hand. Rest assured. Just as the horse was led out, officials from the Imperial stables blocked the path. The horse's eyes were bloodshot, and white foam sprayed from its nostrils. The horsekeeper sliced open the feed bag, shaking out undissolved medicinal powder. This horse has been drugged? It cannot compete. Qin Zhaoyu's face turned ghastly pale. My brother snatched the reins. Today is an imperial competition. Who dares to use such methods to frame me? Eldest young master, the horse has lost control. Move aside, my brother leaped onto the horse. He had to win the top prize. Only by winning could he ask the emperor for a favor, to secure the position of the Marquis' wife for Qin Zhaoyu. The gong sounded. The horse surged forward like an arrow released from a bow. Before it could even clear the first wooden hurdle, it suddenly reared its front hooves, throwing my brother violently from its back. The sound of bones breaking was clearly heard. My brother lay in the dust, his right arm twisted at a horrific angle. Mother and Qin Zhaoyu rushed onto the field. I stood on the viewing platform, not moving. Jia Yinghuai walked to my side and handed me a confession. The stable hand has already confessed. The medicine was sent by Qin Zhaoyu's maid. She wanted Shen Xingjian to use drugs to win, and then beg for a favor for her. I looked at my brother being carried away on a stretcher. I did not harm him. Zhao Yinghuai put away the confession. You just stopped cleaning up their messes. My brother's right arm was broken, and he could no longer participate in the imperial competition. Qin Zhaoyu's final reliance had also fallen under the gaze of everyone. 3 days later, on the 8th day of the lunar month, 2 bridal sedan chairs were carried out in the capital on the same day. On that 8th day, the capital saw a rare, clear, sunny day. 2 sedan chairs were parked simultaneously in front of the Shen mansion. One was led by the personal guards of Prince Huai estate, with green bamboo patterns embroidered in gold thread on the carriage. The other, adorned with begonias and red silk, waited at the side gate for the procession from the Marquis of Jianan's estate. I put on my red bridal veil and was escorted out of the main gate by the matchmaker. Qin Zhaoyu, meanwhile, boarded her chair from the side gate. Drums and gongs sounded at the same time. The 2 processions headed in opposite directions. When my bridal sedan chair stopped in front of Prince Huai estate, Zhao Yinghuai was not waiting inside the manor. Dressed in his bright red wedding attire, He personally walked down the long street, lifted the curtain of the sedan chair, and reached his hand out to me. I placed my hand in his palm. He held it firmly. Through the veil, he whispered, "Shen Jue. From this day forward, you need not yield to anyone ever again." My eyes grew warm with unshed tears. On the other side, Pei Yanxi had been urged by the elders of the Marquis estate to go to the ancestral shrine outside the city to offer sacrifices at dawn, and he did not return to the estate until dusk. He didn't even have time to change his clothes before being surrounded and rushed to the wedding ceremony. The bride, wearing her red veil, had not made a sound the entire time. Pei Yanxi simply assumed I was still angry. In the bridal chamber, the red candles burned brightly. He picked up the wedding scale and, smiling, lifted the veil. "Jue, you've been throwing a tantrum for so long. It's time to..." His voice came to an abrupt halt. The person sitting under the veil was Qin Zhaoyu. Pei Yanxi recoiled violently, dropping the scale from his hand. "Why is it you?" Qin Zhaoyu's face turned pale, her eyes brimming with tears. "The one who performed the ceremony with you today has always been me." Pei Yanxi stared at her intensely. "Where is Jue?" Qin Zhaoyu bit her lip. She also married into Prince Huai estate. Pei Yanxi turned and rushed out of the bridal chamber. He ran all the way to Prince Huai estate, only to be blocked by armored guards at the foot of the stone steps. Inside the gates, I was drinking the nuptial wine with Zhao Yinghuai. 3 days later, for the bride's first return visit to her parents' home, Pei Yanxi, still in those same rumpled wedding clothes, had waited in front of the Shen mansion for an entire night. On the day of the return visit, just as the carriage from Prince Huai estate pulled up to the Shen mansion, I saw Pei Yanxi. He was still wearing the wedding robes from that day, the hem stained with mud, the cuffs wrinkled beyond recognition. The once high-spirited heir to the Marquis of Jingen now had bloodshot eyes, as if he had been standing outside for the whole night. As the carriage curtain was lifted, he took a sudden step forward. "Jue." I leaned on Zhao Yingwei hand as I stepped down from the carriage. Pei Yanxi saw our clasped hands, and his steps faltered. His face turned deathly pale in an instant. "Why?" His voice was hoarse. "Why did you really marry him?" I looked at him, and suddenly remembered the past. Whenever Qin Zhaoyu felt wronged, he would always come to find me. He said she was living under someone else's roof, and asked me not to mind it. He said I was more sensible than her, and asked me to be more accommodating. He said that after we were married, he would make it up to me. But that after, I waited for many years and never saw it come. "Pei Yanxi," I asked him, "do you still remember when I turned 16? Those 2 begonia sachets." He froze for a moment. I continued. "Brother clearly asked me what kind of fragrance I liked. Yet in the end, both that were delivered were begonia. Qin Zhaoyu wanted both, so you let her take them all. Later, when she wanted my zither teacher, you said she was lonely and told me to yield. When she wanted my horse, you said I had everything and told me to yield. At the Shanxi banquet, you publicly recognized her as your fiancée, and even called me narrow-minded." Pei Yanxi's lips trembled. "Jiwei, I know now that I was wrong." He took a bamboo sachet from his robe. The edges were rough, the bamboo leaves carved crookedly, and it was stained with a spot of dried blood, left from when he had carved it himself. "Look, I've made it up to you." He held the sachet out to me. "From now on, whatever you like, I will give to you first. I will never let you yield to Zhao Yu again." I lowered my head and looked at it, but did not reach out. "It's too late." Pei Yanxi's hand froze in midair. I lifted my eyes to look at him, saying every word clearly. "Before, you taught me over and over not to compete, not to make a scene, to be sensible. So I learned. I yielded the sachet. I yielded the teacher." The wind blew across the stone steps, making the bamboo sachet in his palm sway gently. I said calmly, "In the end, I yielded you as well." Pei Yanxi's eyes turned bloodshot instantly. "I don't want her. Just come back with me. I can divorce Qin Zhaoyu immediately. We can hold the wedding again. I will give you everything anew." "Pei Yanxi," I interrupted him. "Do you still think even now that I left just to force you to turn back to me?" His voice came to an abrupt stop. By the time I finally learned not to fight for things, I no longer loved you. The blood drained from his face, inch by inch. The sachet in his hand fell onto the stone steps, cracking upon impact. Zhao Yinghuai walked to my side and draped his cloak over my shoulders. "It's windy outside." He held my hand and said indifferently, It is time for the princess to enter the mansion. As the words the princess fell, Pei Yanqi stumbled back a step. Just at that moment, another carriage from the Marquis estate stopped outside the gate. Qin Zhaoyu lifted the curtain and rushed down. Seeing Zhao Yingwei adjusting my cloak, and then seeing the soul-broken Pei Yanqi, the jealousy in her eyes could no longer be contained. Shen Jiwei. She rushed to the front of the street, eyes red. What right do you have to live so well? Qin Zhaoyu stood in front of the Shen mansion, her eyes bloodshot. She was still wearing the luxurious robes of the Marquis' wife, her hair adorned with all her pearls and jewelry. But beneath her sleeves, her hands were clenched so tightly, her nails were almost digging into her palms. You already didn't want Pei Yanqi. Why does everyone still think it was me who stole him from you? Shen Jiwei, why are you feigning innocence? I did not answer, looking only at Pei Yanqi behind her. He didn't even cast a single glance at her. Qin Zhaoyu followed my gaze and turned around, the fury on her face suddenly freezing. The marriage contract she had gone to such lengths to snatch had now become a laughingstock in everyone's eyes. The Marquis of Jingen refused to hand the family seal to her. Pei Yanqi left the bridal chamber on their wedding night. She carried the title of the Marquis' wife, yet she lived alone in an empty courtyard. It wasn't that she didn't know what she had stolen. She simply couldn't accept that. Once she had it, no one envied her anymore. Cousin, I looked at her calmly. Those 2 begonia sachets were your own choice. The marriage contract was also what you asked for. Now that they both belong to you, what else are you dissatisfied with? Qin Zhaoyu's lips trembled, and she suddenly lunged at me. Zhao Yingwei guards immediately stepped forward, blocking her at the bottom of the steps. I only took a little of what you had. You've had everything since you were little. What's wrong with me taking a little? I didn't look at her again, and turned to walk into the Shen mansion. In the main hall, Mother had been waiting for a long time. Seeing me enter, she hurriedly lifted an old wooden box from the table. The box opened, and inside lay a bamboo sachet. The sachet was covered in a thin layer of dust, and the green tassel had faded. Mother wiped it again and again with her handkerchief and choked out. This was after your 16th birthday. I had someone make it for you. I intended to give it to you the next day. But that night, Zhaoyu had a fever, and I was so busy I forgot. She held the sachet out to me. Jiwei, Mother is making it up to you now. How is this one? Is it good? I looked at that sachet, which had arrived many years too late, and did not reach out. Mother's hand hung in midair, her fingertips trembling gradually. I wasn't that I didn't prepare one for you. I just forgot. I said softly, that the person you always forget is me. Her face turned ashen. I walked past her. My brother Shen Xingjian was sitting in the hall, his right arm still splinted. He had lost so much weight. Seeing me, he braced himself against the table and stood up. Jiwei, I heard your birthday is coming up soon. He managed a strained smile. What would you like this year? Brother will surely find it for you. I shook my head. There is nothing I wish to receive from you, brother, anymore. His smile froze on his face. I turned to leave. He suddenly asked in a hoarse voice, was it you standing outside the study that night? I stopped in my tracks. I never really wanted you to let Yanyan be a concubine. His eyes were red, explaining anxiously. I just wanted to appease Zhaoyu first. Once she was safely married into the Marquis estate, I would have planned something else for you. I looked back. Brother, I never wanted you to break your right arm either. I simply stopped covering for you both. His body swayed, and he slumped back into his chair. Jiwei, it was brother who was wrong. Crying sounds came from behind me. I did not turn back. In the carriage returning to the prince's estate, Zhao Yingwei held my hand. Are you sad? I leaned against the carriage wall and thought for a moment. A little. But it doesn't hurt anymore. As the carriage drove into the prince's estate, the sky had already darkened. The courtyard gate pushed open, and lanterns across the courtyard lit up simultaneously. Hundreds of bamboo lanterns hung between the long corridors and the treetops. The green light flickered, illuminating the entire courtyard. Zhao Yingwei led me under the lights. From now on for your birthday, you need not wait for others to remember it. He placed a bamboo sachet, engraved with my name, into my palm. Whatever you like, I will give to you. What belongs to you? You need never yield again. I held the sachet tightly, looked up at the lights filling the courtyard, and finally smiled.